What do you get when you get Captain America: The First Avenger and Xena and freaking other movies, and you mix them into a bowl? You get Wonder Woman, the 2017 Wonder Woman movie. I just got out of this movie. I promise I will not be spoiling this movie, but oh my god, DC has finally made a good movie after a freaking year of just disappointments and, problems. I am so glad this movie was made. I'm glad that Wonder Woman has finally got her chance to shine. I'm glad that this movie wasn't boring. It was good. It's no masterpiece like the critics are saying on Rotten Tomatoes, giving it like a 95%. That's basically a lot of women saying, "Oh, female empowerment, yes, yes, yes." Also, what was it? It also had a mix of a hint of Star Wars in there at the very end. Not going to spoil it. And there's also there's one scene taken from Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi movie, and there's also a scene from the Avengers. So they have a mix of stuff from Marvel too. See, this is not just DC doing everything themselves, but they finally got their niche. They did a solo character. It was focused. It wasn't like half of a movie like Suicide Squad. This was way better. Gal Gadot knocked it out of the park. I will say the great thing in this movie is her performance. She sold the movie as a champ. She didn't top Linda Carter from the show, but she did her own thing. Badass action sequences with her. Really good emotion from her face. She could kick the crap out of Daisy Ridley any day, baby. Those long legs around a guy's face or kicking, everything she does, the slow-mo shots that they use in her, that's not a spoiler. That was in the trailer. Really, really badass. I'm glad that this character was finally brought to life by an actress, that I think is good. She's not going to win an Oscar, people. That's not what she's there for. But she's an Israeli chick that kicked a lot of ass tonight, and I am so glad she did. Chris Pine was fine in the movie. I don't think he was horrible. I didn't see the Star Trek movies. Maybe that's a good thing, with him as Captain Kirk. I've seen other films with him that I liked. I liked Unstoppable and Rise of the Guardians and a bunch of others. He's fine in the movie. He has a sense of humor. The movie has a sense of humor. Thank God. No more freaking dark and dreariness. Yes, it's war. The movie takes place during World War One. So, yeah, of course it's going to have war in it. It's got war as hell. And also the film is like the original Superman. Like the scene where she's protecting... They show it in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, where she's protecting Steve from the Nazis and she's using her gauntlet bracelets on her arms, straight out of the 1978 or 79 Superman, Richard Donner movie. But it doesn't rip that movie off at all. It's about as long as it, but unlike Man of Steel, this movie wasn't boring. Thank you, Patty Jenkins. Thank you. You made Zack Snyder... You could give Zack Snyder a run for his money because you know how to direct a freaking movie. You did Monster, and that's the only movie I give credit for Charlize Theron's acting is because of your direction. This movie looks beautiful. They have actually real locations. There's not too much CGI until like the second half of the film where the action sequences happen. There's real animals. There's real like waterfalls and grass and trees and beautiful surroundings. It's just a really good atmospheric film in that respect. The beginning of the film, they showed Diana as a little girl. That's not a spoiler. They showed her in the trailer. I'm not going to say what they do. She's basically on the island training, and she has her mother there, who played by Connie Nielsen. I think she was in Gladiator, yeah. And Robin Wright is in the movie as Hippolytus or whatever. Yeah, she's in the movie, and she finds Steve on the island, which is, we already knew that from the trailers, so that's not a spoiler. And they go to his world so that she can kick the ass of the Germans in World War One. That's all I'm giving away. There were some good performances other than those two. I thought the Scottish guy from the Rundown was fine. The French guy, I know I've seen his face somewhere, but I recognize him. David Thewlis he was interesting, I will say that, as one of the characters in the movie. He was in Harry Potter. You've seen him. He was in The Prisoner of Azkaban to play the werewolf. The rest of the cast was fine. I mean, it wasn't anything great. I mean, it wasn't like the Avengers, but I still liked the movie. I'm going to say this. This was a good DC film. It erased my memory from Suicide Squad. I think it's more focused than Batman v Superman, but the one thing that movie has over this is got Batman, and I love Batman more than Wonder Woman. But I'm showing my support for the freaking goddess of the Amazons. She's badass. The sword that she uses and the shield. That score that some people complain about, it's only in 2 scenes in the movie. two scenes. For all these detractors that say that that's a shitty score, it's only in two scenes. In the middle and at the very end. And then at the end credits. That is it. So the score, the regular score, really, really well done. The film looks great. It has color in it. It's not freaking dark and dreary like Man of Steel was. It's not freaking, it's not a CGI mess, like a mistake like a Suicide Squad was. It's definitely better than Catwoman. This movie was well written. It was funny. There's a lot of humor that works between the chemistry between Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. It's fine. They kiss in the movie. That's not a spoiler. We knew that they were going to fall in love. I mean, it's a man and a woman. You do the math. The feminism angle, it was all a publicity stunt. This movie didn't need a whole Alamo theatrical release of, women only. This movie was more for guys anyway. There's a lot of leg shots where the women are kicking and flipping and putting their ass in our face. Yeah, it's for the guys. And thankfully, there's no fart jokes, there's no queef jokes, and there's no shooting a guy in the balls or kicking him in the balls. There's none of that. You know why? Because Patty Jenkins wouldn't put something that stupid. It wasn't insulting. There's some moments in the beginning of the film where when she meets Steve that are kind of like, what kind of a man are you? Or whatever like that. And he's like, I'm above average. That made me laugh. I appreciate the sense of humor because God knows they needed this. If this movie was a drama, it would have bored me to death and I would have been depressed. But thankfully, it wasn't that. It's a good movie. It'll be in my top 10. It won't be in my top 5. This did not top Guardians 2 because I love that movie with a burning passion because I loved everything about it except for, one or two things. And it didn't top Lego Batman because that movie made me laugh a lot more. And Batman's my favorite hero. And it didn't top John Wick 2. But it would be like maybe number 7 or 8 in my top 10. It's a good movie. It is better than Ghost in the Shell. I will say that. And I love Scarlett Johansson to death. But this movie's better because it is a little more focused. It's well written. It's well directed. Your lead is freaking amazing. Her battle cry, her fight skills. The CG doesn't even look that bad, especially at the end. I mean, it looks good. It doesn't look like in Suicide Squad with this dancing freaking enchantress. No, it's nothing like that. I will say this, though. At the end, the villain does come out of nowhere. But, that's one problem my friends are going to have with the film. But I'm not going to say anything. You see the movie for yourselves. See Wonder Woman. It was a good movie. Screw the haters saying this movie's just copies Captain America: The First Avenger. It has slight bit similarities to that movie. That was World War II. This is World War I. Different World War, people. So give the movie a chance. And I'm not doing this because of feminism. I'm doing this because I'm being honest. I enjoyed Wonder Woman. I enjoyed it. I got to see an Israeli chick kicking asses of Germans. That's awesome. These freaking neo-Nazis that are worse than the fem-Nazis we have today. It's just a woman, so we have to make it all for women in the theater. No, there were a lot of girls in the theater, but there were also guys cheering at the end and having a good time, laughing. The slow-mo shots of her jumping out of windows and shit. It was awesome. It was really good. They used the lasso of truth like in the show. There's nods to the 70s show where she wears glasses. You saw that in the trailer. And she changes her clothes. They call her Diana Prince like in the show. It's a lot of nods to the show. They didn't have the invisible jet, though. That's one thing I wish was in the movie. It's probably for the sequel or Justice League. But now I'm looking more forward to Justice League thanks to this movie. DC, you finally broke the jinx. There were problems with BVS. It was edited. It should not have been. You had a horrible villain in that. And they kind of rushed things at the end. In Suicide Squad, it was boring. The cast had no chemistry with each other except for Will Smith and Margot Robbie. But the villain sucked and there was a lot of CGI, bad CGI, and the Joker's underused. And that's a sin that I cannot ever forgive because that Joker's the best villain you got in DC. And it's way better than Man of Steel. I was not bored. There's one flashback in the movie. One. Not 15 like an Arrow, which, that's one pet peeve I have with Arrow. But this has one. It goes by quick. I didn't feel the long running time. There's some talking scenes, with the men that are like, oh, there's a woman in here. But it didn't bother me. And it said, and when she meets Steve for the first time, she says, you're a man. And I'm like, yeah. And I said in the theater, I'm a man and I'm damn proud of it. And people laughed. I'm like, yeah, because I love this movie. I really like this movie. I didn't love it. There were some things I didn't care for, like the British fat lady. She's there. She's not really that memorable. She's just Chris Pine's handy woman that's just there to say yes, and that's about it. She's basically a comic relief. And, there's a Native American guy in the movie that he helps out at the end. He was good. He didn't have an accent, so he was good. And also the subtitles shit I didn't care about. Like, Diana could speak all these languages, and she speaks to the French guy in like 15 languages. I didn't care for that. I never cared for that. I didn't care about that in Star Wars or Star Trek or freaking Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. I don't want to read subtitles. If I want to see an American-made movie, I want it to be in American English. That's fine with me. I'll take Gal Gadot's accent over Daisy Ridley, because really, you're not going to... What she did in this movie, you would be so jealous. So jealous. But I'm not going to spoil anything. That's Wonder Woman, the 2017 awesome movie. I liked it. I know Josh is going to cream his pants when he sees this movie. He's going to be like, this is the best movie of the entire year. For me, no. But it is a good movie. It's worthy to be in my top 10. Because it tried. It put effort. Unlike Fembusters, where they have to insult men for the whole thing, at least the guys in this movie actually do things. They're not just a bunch of blithering idiots that do nothing. Chris Pine does a lot more than Chris Hemsworth did in Fembusters. And it's not an insult. It's a good movie. It finally redeemed DC for so many bad years of failed rehashes and, having villains that sucked and using too much CGI that was distracting. And, it's a fun movie. It's really fun. You could take girls to see this. They don't curse in it that much, so that's not going to be a problem. That's good. But it was a worthy experience to see in the theater. Paid $15, and I don't feel ripped off, because The Force Awakens, that to me was more disappointing, because I had some expectations and I got I didn't have much. All that movie had was action, and that was it, and good visuals. Here, I had a better female lead that didn't have a stick. She had a sword and a freaking shield and a lasso of truth and her badass gauntlets that I'm not going to say what happens. See the movie. I'll do a spoiler podcast with my friends eventually, but I recommend it. It's a good movie. Not a masterpiece. It's no Dark Knight. It's no Avengers 1 or 2. It's no Captain America, the Winter Soldier, or Civil War. No, oh God, no. Not even close. But it's good. It's not mediocre. It's good. And I'm not saying that for feminism. I'm saying it because Gal Gadot proved that she belongs in this business. And accent and all, she kicked a lot of ass. And that's all I can ask for. I'm not asking for an Oscar-winning performance. With Brie Larson, I'm already going to get that in 2 years. Give me more superhero films with women. I would love to see Melissa Benoist do a movie on the big screen like this, because she deserves her next big break after Supergirl. I want to see Supergirl now, the 1984 film. I want to see Elektra. I know it's going to suck, but I want to see it. I want to see more female superhero movies. Not for feminism or SJWs to please a demographic, because it turns me on to see a woman kicking ass that's sexy and a brunette and not British and has a freaking presence to her. There's a lot of scenes she doesn't talk and you just see their facial expressions. It works. It does work. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. I want to keep this under 20 minutes. It's a good movie. Check it out. I have no regrets. It's going to be in my top 10, at least a number 7 or number 8, because it proved itself. It broke the jinx, and it's going to make a lot of money, which it deserves. And I couldn't have asked for a better Wonder Woman movie. I really couldn't. So I'll leave you guys with that. See you in the next review. This is a movie that got praised, by the way, not misunderstood. But anyway, thanks for watching, and Gal Gadot, you go, girl. Hell yeah.